Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rufaro and I make lifestyle videos and travel content. So on the segment of our lifestyle videos, in my previous video I shared a building project that I've been working on, and I got so many comments and such good feedback from some of you, and I also got emails from some of you guys who had questions and wanted to know and were curious about, first, how much I used to build, and secondly, any challenges that I faced, and also just direction if I had anything that I could just share with you guys on my building project. So obviously this is like building is such a long process, and every experience is different for each one of us. And because people buy different sizes of land in different locations, cost and timelines of the project are going to be different. But I just thought I owed you guys just a little bit of numbers, and just to give you guys indications of how much I use for my own project. So my project was on a 300 square meters land, and then my actual building, my actual house was this in size. I don't know it by head. And then I'm just going to share like rough numbers, plus or minus $50 of how much it cost me on this project. So bear in mind, this is just to perhaps feed your curiosity, but it will not be the same for your own projects. Because even a change in color, a change in the builder, a change in the location in the city could really be different. So if you are in Zimbabwe, or you're not in Zimbabwe but you're looking into building in Zimbabwe, these are some of the things that you may need to consider. So in this video we are going to be discussing on how much it may cost you to build a property on a 300 square meter stand. So bear in mind that if the stand is 300 square meters, you obviously won't build the whole 300 square meters. So I don't have that close right now, but I'm just going to insert right here the exact square meters of the actual building, and then we get into discussing the cost. So we are going to start on the price for purchasing the land. I also saw that some of you guys were curious and eager, but you need to know that this changes depending on location, time, and even the stage of development of the property. When I got the property, it was at $35 per square meter. It didn't have compliance at that time, and when it got compliance, it was now selling at $65 per square meter. So it may also be an advantage to buy just before compliance, but it's also quite risky to do that in case they never get compliance, and then you end up losing out when you bought a land that doesn't have compliance. But that's what I did there. So the first stage with building, the first stage is called the planning stage. This is the stage where you buy the plan, and in my case I had to pay some council rates. And for my plan, I paid the guy who did our plan about $300. And then when it comes to the actual building, setting out for this size of the stand, which I'll insert here, was about $150. Footing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put pictures so that you guys see what that is, in case you have no idea what footing is. Footing was about $300. And then the council inspector comes to inspect almost every stage. So I think you could pay in Zimbabwean dollars, but it's about $20 per every inspection. And then I'm just hesitating a bit because now I'm looking at also a transport cost, which I'll include on my final total, but then I will not really discuss this with you guys because they may not really apply to you. Okay, the total for the substructure phase was about, I'm just noticing I didn't put the total, so this is the total that I put on the screen. And then let's go to the window level. For window level, we used about 4,000 for the window level. Then there's what's called the ring beam stage. We used about 2.5. And then there's what's called the wall plate stage. We used about 1.3. And then there's the roofing stage. We did Ibiara and we used about 7,000. And then after roofing, people always say, you're now done. But what we learned is that it's actually after roofing, that's when you put electricity, you plaster inside, you do your plumbing work, you do your windows, your doors, your plastering outside, wiring, sealing, inspection. So I'm just going to give you average cost. This is very different and will obviously be different cost because we are obviously not going to build the same thing. Yeah, to put electricity, wiring, plugs and all that, that was about 1.2. And then plastering inside was about 1.2. Plumbing work was about 1.2. Windows, these were like 2.6. Doors, they were about 1.2. Plastering outside was about 500. The ceiling was 2,000. Skimming was about 700. Toilets and sinks and tubs, these were about 1.6. And then painting inside only was about 1.3. Doors, keys, locks, these were about 300. And then we put a solar system 5 kV, this was about 2.7. So obviously I was rounding off some numbers because I know it won't be exactly the same, but maybe every number that I said is going to be, if you're going to build the exact same plan, it's going to be maybe plus 50 or minus 50. On average, our total cost for building was about 42,000. Yeah, so I want you guys to know that this will obviously not be the same price for your project because the projects are different. And like I think a little corner or a change in color can literally change the cost. So it's a bit hard to then just say it's cost this much. But I know you guys were curious and wanted to know, and those are valid questions. When I was also starting on my project, I needed to know how much some stages would cost me. And also before I get my quotation or when I would get my quotation, I would want to see, is it around the same price with other people so that I, don't end up getting a very low price. Maybe it means the person is not good, or a very high price where it's just, expensive, but the product is the same. So this can just be, indicative guidelines, but just know it's going to be very different for your own project. And then, so then I'm just going to answer some of the questions that you guys were asking. First of all, I want you guys to know that I'm not an expert. I'm not a pro at this building thing. This was my first building project. I'm just really going into it and learning everything. So yes, I did notice that people had different opinions or on what I had to do throughout the project when I was sharing. And even in the last video, some of you guys were directing or commenting on what I should have done, what could have been done differently. And some of you then came and said, what do you think about these comments that people were saying? What's your opinion? What's your view? One question that came was about tiling. What do you need to do first, tiling or put the fittings? So if you see in my last video, we first put the toilets and the sinks, and then the tilers came after. But what you notice that when the tiler was tiling, they literally removed those fittings and then tiles, then put back the fittings. which I ended up having to reconnect the water again. So I think in my next project, I would tile, then put the fittings on top. The questions came where to buy land. I used one developer. Even for my next project that I'll share with you guys, I use the same developer. I don't advise that because sometimes developers also get swindled. So they may not be the ones who are not authentic or are not honest or are not scammers, but they may be scammed also. And then, so in my next project, I'm going to let you guys know there's some stories with my developer on that project. So I think it's best to use different developers to just spread your risk. But I cannot tell you go to this because one, I'm not advertising. Two, I really don't know. But yeah, some of the good and old reputable developers that are in Zimbabwe are these ones, but I'm not referring you guys to them. Just do your research, do your due diligence, look for a lawyer, get help, check their history, check their reviews, and then maybe consider using them. And then the price of land really differs. It depends with at what stage you buy your land and where you're buying your land, and when you bought your land. So even in the same area where I bought my land, the people who bought 5 years before me in the same area, what they paid is different from what I paid now. And then people who bought 2 or 3 years after me are paying a different price. So the prices for the land can really be different. But in most cases, I think if you have 10,000, you can start to get something decent. Maybe for 10,000, maybe you can get maybe 180 square meters going up. So yeah, that's it, guys. I just thought maybe I should just talk to you guys and just follow up and answer some of your questions from my previous video instead of just ghosting you guys. I'm so sorry it took so long, and I'm sure that I've not managed to answer all the questions in this video. So if you still have questions, please do feel free, comment in the comment section below and I'll answer. And maybe the next video I'll actually answer the questions one by one, share the challenges that I faced during my building project. It was a lot and I'll not be able to share it in this video, but I hope to see you guys in the next video where I share some of the general challenges which I faced in building, and perhaps some of the things that I actually learned from the building project and mistakes that I think I will not make in my future projects. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you're looking into continuing this conversation with me outside this platform where I'm just talking and it's pre-recorded, you can email me. My email is in my description box. You can email me and I can have a chat with you guys when I can. Thank you for watching and thank you for supporting my videos. Bye.